the mortarboard hat. A symbol to all that you spent thousands of dollars on an institution to get a fancy piece of paper that proves you are qualified to do a certain job. And now, I am the proud owner of one. For $120, I'm still confused about why it costs that much. It's literally cardboard and polyester. Someone's mowing the lawn outside, so if you can hear a faint buzzing, I'm sorry. Even though I graduated in December, the only ceremony that my school offers for the year is in May, so in 3 days I will be walking with my class. This video is probably going up like a week or two afterwards because of time management stuff, but still, oh my god, this is really happening. It's a weird world to be graduating into as a working adult, especially one in the arts. But I am a relatively optimistic person, and I think it's gonna suck for a little while, but be okay eventually. And even though I care about that stuff, that's not the focus of this video. I want to do arts and crafts. Decorating your graduation hat didn't really start to become a trend until the early mid-2010s, but it has blown up a lot, and I've seen more people than not do it when they are allowed to. And I wasn't allowed to in high school, so when my college graduation came along, I knew for a fact that there was something I wanted to do. I didn't really go above and beyond or do anything out of the ordinary for my capabilities, but this is a special moment and I wanted to share it with you, so let's roll the footage. So I laid everything out before I started filming this because I wanted to make sure my game plan could actually fit on the hat. You could probably guess by the letters that I have what it's going to say, but I'm going to do gold lettering up here, lettering made out of some of my choral octavos that I don't think I'm ever going to sing again or can easily find again on the internet. And then I'm going to do a ribbon border with this music note ribbon that I found in the clearance bin at Michael's. I want to take this part of the video where I'm just cutting out all of my sheet music letters to explain why I picked the sheet music that I did. This was from my stash of stuff that I have either taught or learned, and I very carefully went through everything to see what I was willing to sacrifice for this project, and I only ended up using about 5 or 6 different ones, but they were ones that stood out to me and I thought had either significance in my college career or pertained to the themes of graduation. The first one that I knew I was going to include was Verleih uns Frieden by Mendelssohn, because it was one of the first choral pieces that I ever taught. It was a project for a class, but it was one that really stood out to me when I was analyzing it to be taught. And just, there was something about the melody and the different translations of it that really resonated with me. I'm not sure why, because I'm not a religious person. It was involvement in church choirs that kind of kick-started my musical career, though, so I think that might have something to do with it. Another one I taught that I definitely wanted to include is called Song of the Apple Tree, and its whole theme is growing up and being watched over by people who support you. And I did this one in a choral pedagogy class, and it's just such a cute little song. It's definitely meant for a younger audience, but I thought the themes of growing up and time was very appropriate for the ceremony. There were a couple that I didn't really have a specific story for, but I thought that they fit the theme, and I wanted to cut out specific words that I thought would be, generically inspirational. One is a setting of Emily Dickinson's Hope is the Thing with Feathers. I have pieces by Eric Whitacre and Elaine Hegenberg on here. This one is a little more specific, but I chose a selection from Considering Matthew Shepard. We, the choir, did this as a project during my junior year, and it was heavy and hard, but so eye-opening in terms of what choral music can do. So I chose part of the Meet Me Here movement because we spent a lot of time on that one and actually performed it separately during a different show. And that whole process stuck with me. I feel like when the average person thinks of a huge choral project, they're thinking of like a Mozart or a Vivaldi type thing. I don't know, I'm just spouting off classical composers, but this was modern. The music used was unlike anything I'd really ever heard or performed up until that point, and of course the theming is so heavy with themes of homophobia and injustice, and I am just so thankful that I got to experience something not only so heavy, but so different and changing a lot of people's worldviews. Like, I care a lot about these issues, but not everybody in that choir really did until that point. So that piece really stands to the testimony of the power of music. So I knew I wanted to include part of it somewhere, and I'm so glad that I did. These pieces became the letters of the words high note because I am a soprano, and the joke was very obvious. I cut them out in blocks first and then went and did the full outline of the letter because it was just easier than trying to work around such large pieces of paper. I had to redo one of the H's and the E because they started to rip as I was detailing them. And then I went through and erased all of the pencil marks on the sides that were going to be facing upwards and not glued down. The other words were gold letter stickers, which were very annoying to peel off of their sticker sheet and put on because they were so thin, and I don't have sharp nails, so that was not in my advantage. Some of them were a little crooked because I just couldn't get them to cooperate, but it's okay, it adds character. The paper letters were attached with regular old fabric glue, and I also sealed them with a layer of Mod Podge so they would be waterproof, just in case the weather sucked. The weather, it was windy that day, but no rain, so I was prepared, but I didn't really need it. Better to have it than not, though. Okay, I stepped away from this for a few days because I thought something was missing and it looked a little plain. So I came up with a solution to just add a bit of an outline in gold to these letters. I tested the marker out on the sheet music to see how well it covered up the notes. I don't mind if it peeks through a little bit, but I have to layer it like 1 or 2 times anyways just to get a nice solid application. I swore I owned an actual gold Sharpie, but I didn't, and I was thinking of this Crayola metallic marker when I was scouring the house for it. It still worked just as fine as a Sharpie would, it just didn't dry as quickly. There are 1 or 2 smudges on the fabric of the hat, but again, it has character. I recut the ribbons at a 45-degree angle-ish so that the corners would meet and make a perfect square. It wasn't exactly perfect, but it worked when it was glued onto the hat. Cutting them at the angle didn't make them fray as much as they did when I just cut them straight, but I still burned the edges just to be sure, you know. Gluing these down was a bit of a pain in the butt because I have a really hard time controlling how much glue comes out of this bottle. Too much. That's all I really have to say about it. I tried to spread it out, but you can kind of see where it goes through. On the bright side, it stuck it through the fabric directly to the cardboard of the hat, so it was not going anywhere. I didn't record anything at the ceremony, but this. On May 10th, 2025, I graduated college officially with my Bachelor in Arts in Music, with a concentration in vocal performance summa cum laude. I can't believe I managed to do that. There were times in my life that I thought that this was not a possibility for me, but it felt surreal to walk on that stage and pick up the piece of paper, even though it wasn't the actual degree. And I can definitely truly say that I ended on a high note. I started this YouTube channel just weeks before I was accepted into the college that I ended up attending. So to say that recording and making videos was a huge part of my college career is an understatement. It low-key got me through the last 4 years of my life, and I cannot wait to see where it takes me for the next whoever knows how many. I was very emotional this day, even though I didn't cry as much as I thought I would, and I'm not gonna cry during this voiceover because I don't think anybody really wants to hear me blubbering, but I want to thank everybody who has supported me both in my academic and my content creator journeys. You all mean so much to me. Thank you for everything, truly, and see you in the next one, wherever that may be.